What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Fans Toys Handbull, their version of a Masterpiece Cerebros, or the head of Fortress Maximus. So this is the first, is 40A, which is the first in the two. I'm assuming there's a part B, which is the body of Fortress Maximus, so we have the head here. But he also becomes this headmaster, Cerebros. And he does come with the little headmaster here. Now there's some things you need to do right out of the box. So first of all, the foot will be folded in like this. And it should look like this. So you're going to fold the foot out. Then you grab this heel. And if you have trouble, you might need a spudger or something to get in there, wedge it in there. We'll go ahead and open that heel. They are a little bit tight. Get that folded all the way back, and that's what you want. And that'll give you nice flat feet. The other thing that might be off is these two little die-cast pieces that hold the legs together. You might need to just give those a little squeeze to get those stuck in. And I do notice it does like to pop out pretty easily. So you just have to get that on there. Like that. And then last thing, which is I think what a lot of people are going to miss, and actually I watched a review or two and they didn't mention it, is this headmaster is actually different than the previous headmasters we've gotten. So here's the Fans Toys Chomp headmaster that we just got recently. I think it was in March. And you can see the design is different. So this one's got cutouts for the back of the ball pegs, whereas this one doesn't. Also, the feet sit lower. So you can see they jut out and they actually sit kind of below or right where the neck of the head is. And what that causes is an issue with rotating the head. And a lot of people are saying the head doesn't rotate, doesn't work. So the other thing I want to mention is the new headmaster, this design has two little pegs here. This one doesn't. Those little pegs help it kind of latch into the neck. So here's the neck. It is a spring-loaded design, and the spring is designed to work this little gimmick right here. So it says speed, strength, intelligence. And as you push the head in, it'll push down on that spring and make sure you get those two little tabs in. And you get the speed, strength, agility. He's maxed out, right? He's got the max of everything. But if you don't move those feet on the back, it will collide right here. And as you rotate, it'll pop up and the string will pop it out. So what you need to do is take these, rotate them 180 degrees, fold them onto the back. Rotate 180 degrees, fold onto the back. And that will clear up the space. And we'll put this back in here and make sure you get those two little tabs in. And now we can clear this pylon. So you can see, you can rotate all the way around, clear that pylon, and everything works. The gimmick works. He's not popping off. You do get a little bit of side to side on it. There is a joint inside there that allows you to lift up. So you get that much up. And if you go down, it does pop out. So I did notice that mine, it does pop out if I try to go down on that joint. But I do get the up. I'll just show you what that joint is right here. This is actually what's moving. Okay, so you do have a little joint in the head. It's just tough to use, but you can get that pointed up, not really much down. Continuing down, since we're talking about articulation anyways, the shoulders rotate all the way around on a ratchet joint. I saw a video where somebody rotated the arm and the head popped off. I don't know what they were doing, how that happened. Mine doesn't do that, so I don't know how they got that to happen, but my head seems to fit just fine. And now that I fixed those feet, it does rotate around. You have rotation here at the bicep. It does break the sculpt a little bit. Double jointed elbow because it's a full bend. Rotation at the wrist. Individually articulated fingers. And you're on a ball joint so you can get in and out on this hand. Nice movement there. And then you have the more sculpted fingers versus the square fingers we used to get with Fans Toys. So they really look like, more humanoid fingers. So they're really well done hands. I like these a lot. They started that with Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave, and they've continued it here. You get a rotation here, but you kind of have to lift up on this ab crunch, so it's on a double hinge. So if you just get that up just a little bit, and actually these hip skirts is another thing I wanted to mention. Out of box, they might be too far in. So I recommend just pulling them all the way out. And that'll give you the most flexibility with movement on those. But if you lift up on that ab crunch here, get that down a little bit there. Then you can rotate a little bit better. If you lift it up even more, then you can really rotate it. It is on a ratchet, but unfortunately this gets in the way. So you can kind of fake it for poses, but it does get in the way a little bit, this little piece right here. You can rotate it and you can get the ab crunch, and I knocked the head off by pushing it downwards. So for me, the head does pop off if you do it, but you can actually get him looking upwards. So if you had his ab crunched, you can actually get his head posed upwards, and that's important. If you're going to use that ab crunch, you need to be able to pose the head upwards. All right, so plenty of ab crunch there, and rotation, just might be mindful of that. If you move these side hip skirts out of the way, that actually works best because you can get them out of the way of these legs. So legs are on a double hinge here, and that's for transformation, but you can go out to the side. If you move this all the way out, so pull this out and then lift it up, you can get this up to here. It is going to collide here, so be careful with the paint. You have a hip skirt on the front. I really do think they should get rid of hip skirts and just use those rotating pieces, but that's how they did it here. It goes up to there. Back to here, hindered by the sculpt there. Rotation at the thigh on a universal, or no, actually, no, that's not a universal. That's just a mushroom joint, looks like. You have a single jointed knee, gets 90 degrees, and you have a cover down piece there for the knee. You have ankle tilt, not a lot, very little, but then you get back and forth. If you fold this up a little bit, you can get a little bit more back into his foot, but it is limited side to side at least. Now you do get some nice accessories here. You get his gun painted in this pearlescent white. Looks really nice. It is basically the same as his paint here. And that will tab into the hand very nicely. And that's a nice looking gun. And you can put it in either hand if you want to. You also get his sword. Nicely painted. It's got that metallic red gunmetal paint there. This does transform. So you're going to pull down the handle and open up these. They're going to fold upwards. And there's his sword. Now, intuitively you would think, yeah, this just fits in the hand and that same little tab. It does not. So don't try to force, and the tab is only one side, so you have to put it into this hand. I did try to force. You can see I have a little bit of chewed up plastic because I tried to get it in here. It will not fit in here. Don't try to do it. You really have to take this off, and it's unfortunate, but you have to take this off. And not only that, you have to take off these screws to get the hand off. So you can see there's two little screws. You're going to take those off, and then you're going to replace it with this hand here, which is going to fit onto that ball joint. So I'll get those screws out and we'll place it off. All right, so there it is with the hand off. It does actually come apart because you've got this panel here, and that was holding together the hand. So there's two screws. Set that aside, and this is just peg onto the ball peg. The best way is to hold here like this, and then get this pressed on to that ball joint. So you get a little bit of movement out of it. It has to go on this arm. It can't go on this arm because it's shaped for that arm. And then you can take this little tab, and that's going to slide into here. So just slide that straight in, and then he can hold the sword. Now, I find it a little unfortunate that he can only hold it like this. He can't hold it upright. I think that's silly. That's a silly design. They really should have made it so that you could rotate the hand upwards. I also noticed that you can't really do anything with this. You know, once you start rotating it, it doesn't really work. So the only way to get it upright is to use the double hinge, but then he looks awkward because he's holding it like that. They really should have allowed you to put it in the posable hand. Now you can sort of fake it. Again, don't try to put that tab in. So I'm actually putting it on this side because that's actually not in that tab. So you can do this. You can kind of fake it and have him holding it, but it's not that secure. Now it does hold, but it's not secure. So don't try to put it in this hand, and don't try to get it into the little tab because you will mar up this little tab right there. Now the other kind of big accessory you get here is this display stand, which looks good with the head, but you can also use it with this mode. So you're going to go ahead and lift up on this. That's going to come 90 degrees. You're going to have this displayed like this, and make sure you bring it down on that double hinge. And you can get the sword and just display it like that, just sitting in this holder. So the little tab here holds it up like that. Or you can have him reaching for it or even pulling it out, and you have to pose him in the right position. But let's get this into his hand. You can have him kind of pulling it out, have him kind of bent down or whatever. Now I have to look up the scene where he did this. But you don't want to be careful with this paint. It is a metallic paint. Don't want to scratch that up, but you can get kind of a scene out of this. That's kind of cool. I wouldn't display it like this, but there you go. You can have him pulling his sword out. All right, the final accessory is an alternate face. So here's the standard face, just a straight face with the metallic blue eyes. Here's the alternate one, kind of a yelling, open mouth face. To switch that out, you're going to lift up here. You're going to come to the bottom of the head, the face here, and lift up there. It is on a swing joint here. So get that out, plug this one in, and then tap that back in down here. And then go ahead and push that back in. Make sure you get those two little tabs in to lock it in place. And there you go with that yelling face. I think that looks really good. And there you have Hannibal next to the Make Toys Cupola, their version of Chrome Dome, and the Fans Toys Lupus, their version of Weird Wolf. Looks really good with the other Headmasters. And we don't have any Autobot Headmasters from Fans Toys. We only have Decepticons. We have the 3. Lupus, Dracula, and now Skullcruncher. Now the heads are not compatible, obviously, between Make Toys and Fans Toys, and even the Fans Toys heads are not compatible because while the head is the same size, the actual little tabs are missing, so you can't get this stuck in there. They'll just pop right out. So, but they do look good together in terms of the robots because they're actually the same size. But there you go for a comparison. All right, now let's get him transformed into his head mode. Before I do that, I just want to mention you do have to remove this sword holding hand. It will not fit in the transformation. Unfortunately, it is kind of a bummer. But let's first start with the head. Go ahead and pop the head off, and we're going to take and transform this first. So go ahead and take the legs, unpeg them from the back here. I'm just going to fold those down. Take the feet, which we folded up earlier, and rotate those down and rotate 180 degrees to the front. Come to the sides here. You can unpeg the arms from the back. You don't have to, but go. And there he is. He's actually pretty sculpted. He's pretty cut. He's got a six-pack there. This is actually supposed to be, Spike the Headmaster, or in some cases called Emissary, being the head of Cerebros. Here's the back. Now you can actually transform this as well. So if you open this, rotate here on the head, you got to hold this part here. And then you fold that back in. It does actually hide the face. I don't know if that looks better, but it does hide the face. So you have that option there to make it look more like just a backpack and not a face. But there you go. Really good looking. He does have some nice articulation. The head is on a ball joint. Goes back and forth. Does it rotate? No, it just goes back and forth. And I did show you in the head mode, you have this articulation here for the neck piece. So that's really meant for the robot mode. But you have a ball jointed shoulder, so it goes all the way around, goes up to there. 90-degree bend at the elbow. You have ball jointed hips that go in and out to there, forward to there, back to here, hindered by that head on his back, out to the side just a little bit. 90-degree bend at the knee. You have a ball jointed foot that goes way back to there, forward to there, and then angles in and out for a tilt. So pretty good articulation for a little guy like this. Actually, one of the better Headmasters I've seen. So let's set him aside, and then let's take care of Hannibal here. So first thing, we'll take care of the arms. Go ahead and open this up. Rotate these around and rotate those in, and then close that up. Same on this side. And make sure you have the thumb kind of folded out of the way. You need it in this little fisted position. Right. Go ahead and open up the chest, not this one, so this is the gimmick chest. You want to open up this outer one. Okay? And then you're going to unpeg this from here. And that's going to allow us to take these arms and swing them all the way to the front. Lift them up on this joint here, and then tab them into the front. And they have a over-under tab right here, so make sure you get them both in at the same time, so you can get that over-under tab into each other. And just leave the arms up for now. There's little slots they're going to tab in later, so you just want to leave them in the right position. Right. This can hang down for now. We're going to lift up on this ab crunch, rotate 360 or 180 degrees, and then just leave that up for now. We have to do some more with this head. Go ahead and take the waist here. We'll take care of these legs. So fold these up and push them in, and then fold down on that hip skirt. So it's going to sit just like that. All right, same on this side. Fold that up, push it in, and then fold down on that hip skirt. So it should end up like that. All right, you're going to take these legs, fold them out on this lower joint. That'll allow you to rotate the leg around 180 degrees. Unpeg this tab. It's going to free this up, fold this in. Open up the leg here, and it's just going to fold out here. And all of our stuff is inside here. Go ahead and fold out this, what do you call this, chin piece, and then push it down. It's going to slide down like that. Open up this leg so you have a lot of clearance here. That'll allow you to take this, fold that up, and don't forget about this piece. There's a little tab right here. It's hard to get back out once you fold it in because it folds in flat. So it sits nice and flat. So you can just use this surface to kind of get it, or you can get a spudger in there. But fold that in. You're going to take this piece here. That's going to rotate up. I'm going to take this ear, rotate it back down, and this is going to rotate around. You want to make sure you clear everything, so don't collide. Make sure you're clearing everything and not rubbing the paint there. All right, so that's going to end up sitting like that. First, close up the heel and the toe, put that inside, and we're going to accordion this down, and that's going to sit just like that. So that's how you know have it right. All right, so before we close this up here, this is the opportunity for you to swap out this piece here. So you just lift straight up, and it's on two little tabs there. Here's the alternate piece. Now I had it on there already, but you just press it there, and it sits like that. I like the vented piece personally, but if you want to do it, this is the time to do it, because once you get this together, it's going to be hard to do. The ear we can do a little bit later, but for now, let's keep going. So go ahead and take this, and we're going to close this up. Make sure you have it all lined up. And make sure this clears and doesn't rub into any of this. And get this folded down and ready, and that's the position you want it in. Right, so now we'll do the other side. It's exactly the same. Right, now we'll take care of the legs, and this is kind of the more complicated part of this transformation. So first of all, get these folded up. These are going to fit around the side of the head. It's just easier to have them out of the way while you're doing the rest of this. Right? Have these angled down like they're ready to go, but not quite become the ears. You're going to lift up on this while lifting up on this panel here. So this has to fit inside the middle of that head. So lift this up. This is going to go up a little bit further and come back. Stick a finger in here and then hold that in place while you push that down and tab it in. Right, now we got to get this waist down and inside under the head. So this is actually going to collapse down and fit underneath. So you have to collapse it all the way down first. Make sure those two side hip skirts made their way around the side. And then that's going to fold forward. And again, make sure you have these ears out to the side. All right, and that should all fit around. Should end up like this. There's two tabs, one here and one here. Do the bottom first. So make sure that made its way in. But this is the one you want to line up. So look and make sure that fits. And then push that in. And then you can push in the top part. All right, do it in that order, otherwise it's going to be a little tough to get it all in. So line up the bottom, and you can make sure this made its way in as well. But this is the one you want to get first. Push that in, and then push the top in, and you can give it a little squeeze so it all comes all together. Come to the back here, this should be folded up. I don't like how this has to butt up against this because you are scratching the paint here. So I would recommend putting something here, maybe a little piece of plastic or, you know, a piece of tissue paper, something like that. I'm going to put a little piece of paper there. So go ahead and put your little protective paper there. These are going to fold up and tab in right here into these tabs. So line this up. You don't have to really push them all that far, honestly. You can just tab them in, you know, a little bit until they stay. That's what it's going to look like. And there we have Hannibal in head mode. Gorgeous, gorgeous look. He's got the nice metallic red eyes. You got the kind of pearlescent, kind of shiny paint for the face. And here you got the gray paint. It's got a little bit of shine to it. And then the blue paint here, and then translucent with silver behind it. That doesn't light up even though it looks like it does. Here's the back. Pretty clean overall. Nice, solid, chunky thing. Of course, you do have the light up feature here, so I'll try to get in close. You can see. Nice and bright. Looks really good. For some reason on camera, the one side looks darker, but it does light up nice and bright. It's really good looking. I also like the fact that it's easy to turn on and off. Now, if you want to change out the face, you're supposed to open up these legs to do it, like I showed you earlier, but you can get it here. It's just you risk scraping the sides of the face, but you can get it off. It came off just fine there. And then you can put this one on. Now, the only difference is, see the point, the center point there, that's for pressing this button right here. It's different. It's a different spot, so this one doesn't work as well. It does look really good. So get that on there. It does look really good, but it's harder to press that button. I find it kind of like pops out. So you're better off turning it on before you put the face on. Yeah, and that one it's because of the spot. It's the location. It still has the gimmick, but it doesn't work as well. But there's the yelling looking face. I actually really like that too. Now, of course, you can use the display base. So here's the display base. You want to fold this up like this, or like this. It doesn't really matter. But this will actually hold the head a little bit. It's not designed. I mean, there's nothing in the manual about it. But you're going to just put this on here, and it's going to sit loose. So just to give it a little bit of stability, you can get this and get it kind of stuck right in between there. And that'll kind of hold it so you can rotate and move it around. There it is on that display base. It just really looks nice like that. Now you can also take the weapons that are left over and we can store them down here like before. And now we can have everything stowed away except for the actual headmaster here. Now the question is, where does the headmaster go? Well, the headmaster in the actual cartoon or in the actual toy, it will go into Fort Max's body. It'll be the driver. So I'm imagining when they release the Fort Max figure, which supposedly is a reality now, there'll be a spot to put this guy. So looking forward to that. But right now, there's really no place. You can just kind of set him beside it or whatever. And here are the alternate head pieces. I showed you how to get these two vent pieces on during the transformation. I actually like them a lot better than the stock. It just looks more interesting with those vents, but you do have the choice. Now the ears, you do have to slide in and out. So they're on little pins like that. So you want to hold right here on this white piece and then pull the ear straight off. And you can see there's two little tabs. Now, they're intended to have two options, but you really have four options. So if you flip these around, the other side, here's the plain look. It actually has a pattern. So if you like this pattern, you could use that. Or if you're using the new piece, it's intended to use this side, but the other side has a different pattern. So you have all sorts of options. You have four different options for those ears. I think this is the intended one, but either way, you get a couple options there. But there you go for the alternate head parts. They look good. And one last feature here is you can take the sword and instead of storing it on the bottom, you can come to here. There's a little slot here, not here. You don't want to stick it in the neck, right there. So you want to push this handle in all the way, and that'll fit right there. Now the problem is, how do you display this? Because you got a nice pointy painted surface. So what I've done, which I think is probably the best option, or really the only option, is to get this wedged in between here, like that. Put this down like that, and then you can display the head. So pretty cool option. And for some fun size comparisons, there is next to the HasLab Unicron head, the Zeta Toys, Superion and Bruticus, and then the Toy World / Zeta Constructor. And you can see this thing is massive, right? It's bigger than the biggest head I have. Actually, the Omega Supreme from DX9, which is not removable, I didn't have it here, but it's about the same size as this, maybe a little bit bigger. So this is going to be massive. You can see in terms of the robot mode, it's really going to be big. So final thoughts on Fans Toys Hannibal. Let's start with the positives. I think it looks really good in robot mode, and especially in the Fort Max head mode. It's just beautifully done. The paint, the light up head, the change out ears. Accessories wise, this is phenomenal. They did a great job. You get the sword, the gun, the alternate ears. You get the alternate pieces for the side of the head. You get the display stand here for this thing, whether you want it in head mode or in robot mode, so it really works. I do like this sword, but what I don't like, so negatives-wise, this hand is really kind of silly. They should have made this sword fit into the standard hand. The tab that's on it doesn't fit into this hand, so you kind of have to, just get the fingers around it to hold it. And if you do try to put it in, you actually will damage the tab on the sword, so be careful not to do that. The other thing is this head. Now, I don't seem to have the issue everybody's having. I can rotate my head. It's not popping off. I can rotate it back for upwards look. As soon as I go down, it does pop out on that spring. Now, I would like to remove the string, so I'll probably do a separate video on how to remove that spring-loaded piece so that it doesn't keep popping out on you. But for me personally, I don't have the issue that everybody's been talking about, which is the head popping off randomly. Only if I point it down that happens. So that's not a negative for me. But the fact that other people have mentioned it, including T-Man, my buddy, has that issue. It seems to be a widespread issue, is that spring just popping out, too often. Other than that, I really like it. If you're a fan of the Headmaster series, or you just like Fans Toys in general, this is a great release. I think they did a good job. I really enjoy it. I can't wait to see Fort Max in the final combined mode. I really hope they are able to release that, in reality. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.